don't I? I don't have to worry because it's working. Good morning, good morning. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. I'm out here singing. Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am, you know what, I get so excited when I get to come on and do these, and just thrills my day. I don't want to say that I get started here because, you know, I start off at 5 o'clock in the morning doing my workout, and then, you know, and it's so funny because sometimes when I do these awesome workouts, but it doesn't necessarily look, I don't know, I can't see myself the way other people see me. But to me, it's like, I don't, whatever. It is what it is. But I work out, I do my little exercise every day except for Sunday, and get a half an hour in usually. And then I talk about this all the time, don't I? My morning routine. Read this wonderful book called The 5 a.m. Club. If you have not read that book, if you're a reader, even if you're not a reader, get the Libby app. But The 5 a.m. Club by what is that guy's name? Chandra, Robin. It sounds like a woman's name, but it's a guy. And anyway, 5 a.m. Club is really good. And he talks about taking charge of your morning. And when you could take charge of your morning, supposedly you're able to take charge of your day. And so I started the 5 a.m. Club at first with Rhonda Crowder, who does it over Instagram. And then once I read the book, I was like, oh, see, I thought it was supposed to be that I was writing at 5. But it's an exercise, meditation, journaling, all of this stuff. You do it in this particular format, which is how I kind of changed my morning up to do that. And then I jump in this cold shower before I come on to here. It doesn't stay cold the whole time. I cut it on and it's cold. I cheat, right? So it's probably cold for about a minute, where it's frigid water, and then it warms up. So I do that, and then I come in here, and so my mornings are so beautiful, so beautiful. And even as I'm doing this, I can look out and see how, you know, at one point we were doing this and it was totally dark outside, and then now the days, of course, are getting longer, and so sunrise is happening earlier, and it seems like it gets earlier a few minutes every day. And eventually, by the time I'm doing this, you know, time will switch again, blah, 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 all of that good stuff. But it's all like, to me, it's all amazing. It's, you know, I have this wonderment, like a little kid, this wonderment about life. And I think that in part, that delicious wonderment always has me in a space where I don't, so, I, you know, and things just pop up for me too. I used to be friends with this wonderful woman, and she was talking about the man that she married. And she was like, she said to me one time, she was like, there was something infantile about him, she said. She says, every time they went somewhere, they get in the car, and she says, it was almost like he was always going, ooh, oh, look at that, oh, look at that. And she was like saying that everything that he saw, it was like he was seeing it for the first time. And in her estimation, it was that he was like an infant, right? And, you know, but I have a value in being dazzled by life, you know, just being in a state of like awe about everything. So last night, the moonlight was just beautiful. That time I did not call Stephanie, and I did not make like a huge deal out of it, but I have been known to make a huge deal out of a beautiful moon, or a beautiful snowfall, or a beautiful anything, because, you know, And it said in the color purple, the reason why it was probably named the color purple is because I think it was, I don't know who was it, Seeley, that said that, it ought to be a sin for you to walk by the color purple and not notice it, as they were walking past this field of wildflowers, purple wildflowers. And it ought to be sin not to notice beauty. And it ought to be something wrong, inherently wrong with us when we don't see and identify beauty wherever we are. There is a part of, I'll say a part of, I don't know if it's all of us, but there sometimes we have been so conditioned that beauty is someplace other than where we are, right? Other than what we are. We have had somebody else try to train us about the standard of beauty, and the standard of beauty not looking like Black women or Black men. And so with this type of idea, the images that have been put out there for us, I mean, do you know how hard it is for women who, or young girls who are growing up, and they would see Hanes commercial, right? Or Nair commercials, and they see these legs, these long legs that don't look anything like their legs, right? Our legs are thick and shapely most of the time, right? And we're seeing these legs, and people are running around and kicking up their legs and doing all this stuff, and they don't look anything like our own. And so there is, it can't help but be this sense of inferiority that comes over a person when they're constantly, bombarded with images where they don't see themselves. And so now that that narrative is changing, it is so refreshing, because as a culture, what has happened is that there's been so much pushback, and people creating room and space for all of us to come, and all of us to recognize that to some degree, yes, we all are beautiful. And so to be able to acknowledge beauty wherever it shows up, however it shows up, in whatever the package may be, I tell you, it's a wonderful thing. And then to celebrate the joy, right? Because sometimes I've seen people who aren't, are not aesthetically pleasing, but there is something that is just a wonderfully pleasing about them, right? Or wonderfully sexy about them, or wonderfully artistic about them. There are so many different things that we can look at people and just find amazement in it if we allow ourselves to, but a lot of times we don't. And so for me, if it's a sunrise, then let it be a sunrise. Or if it's a good exercise routine, or a good dance thing, or, if and here's the other thing. There's a lot of things that people could be addicted to, right? Oh my gosh, I think that the thought police, I don't want to say it like this, right? So let me check myself. I don't want to call it the thought police. What we know is that for many of us, we have ADHD, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. But there are so many distractions that are out there that really just kind of pull at our attention. I'm gonna confess this. Last night, I was, as I was getting ready to go to bed, I can't think of who it was, but somebody sent me a TikTok video. And I clicked on it to see what it was about. And of course, when one TikTok video finishes, here comes the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And the next thing you know, where I was in bed intending to go to sleep, the next thing I know, 20 minutes has gone past. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I got to get to sleep, right? And so there are so many things that pull at our attention that a lot of times, instead of really just being clear about what it is that we desire, what it is that we want, and then sticking to that, we allow ourselves to sometimes get caught up in other things. And so this new, I don't want to say new because TikTok has been around for a while, but it kind of opens up the space for newness to come through. So you get to see into people's lives, into their homes, whether it is, some Asian folks that's jamming, right? That's like, I mean, they got the choreography, the moves, the dancing, the rhythm, all of that stuff is like, whoa, right? You get to have a new perspective. You get to see people all around the world from a different perspective, a different lens than what we've seen before. And so it's making room for not just the people who are chosen by the chosen few, but it's opening up a space for whosoever will, right? So if you're a Pasola dwarf, which is the proper name for a person who is a midget, right? They're a Pasola dwarf. If you're that and you do videos and people are galvanized by them or consumed by them or find that person sexy or appealing or whatever that may be, whatever those things may be, it becomes something that is, that can just open our minds up, open us up, open them up, create new streams of wealth, and really get the people who are the decision makers, whether they're the casting directors or writers, script people, get them moving in a different direction. It's wonderful when art imitates life rather than life imitating art. And when I think about some of the things that happen, say for instance, they had all of these reality shows, and the reality shows started to come on. I don't watch any reality shows, I don't think. I used to love the cooking shows, the Gordon Ramsay competitions and all that stuff. But once they stopped teaching anything in the midst of them, it was like, yeah, what's the point? I don't want to just see the drama. I don't know, because I haven't watched them in years, so I don't know if it's changed or whatever. When America's Top Model first came on with Tyra Banks, when we first started watching it, we were actually learning makeup tips. And then all of a sudden it became about the drama. Like, okay, it wouldn't be a show without a cat fight or two or something. And who wants to watch that? It's like, yeah, I can click that off too, right? And so what is it that pulls at your attention, your desire to see? What is it that you want to look at? And so as we begin to see those things switching up, right, as we get to see new people that are coming into the fold and doing new stuff. I mean, heck, I could do some, or, I get on there with my niece or whatever. But as we see new things start to open up, what'll happen is that everybody, I mean, your attention is valuable. And so I read these articles, and even in the midst of the articles, every 2 inches of article, I got to add. I got to scroll past all of these ads because our attention is so valuable. And so they mix in the little ad things that they do with the things that they do in order, that you go to gravitate to read. Then they put ads in the midst of that, and with the hopes that these ads will make you buy something. The click through will make you buy something. It doesn't necessarily work on me, but it is annoying and irritating. And so it is what it is. That's the way we do stuff. Even now, when we look through Facebook. It's like you get a couple of things, of a couple of posts from friends, and then ads, and then posts from friends, and then ads, and then it looks like something that is a post from somebody you might know, but it's actually an ad. So whether it's, people selling bras, I don't know what your algorithm looks like or what it is that calls up on yours, but I know that your attention is so valuable. And so figuring out ways that they can get your attention is what they do, right? And everybody is in that game. So when you start to like plug into different things, then what they do is they keep trying to get your attention, get you to buy something, blah, 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 right? It's an ongoing thing. So if that's the case, then they're paying attention to what we're paying attention to, and we can gradually pull them in a different direction to talk about what our standard of beauty is, instead of always looking at what somebody else's is. We get to create or rewrite the narrative, the script, to do the things that are in our best interest. So I don't know about all of that, as it relates to you, but I know as it relates to me, it was like, I got caught up. I got caught up. And so in getting caught up, it was like, yeah, let me, I go to bed and just like you, and I don't always go through a review of my day. Sometimes it is just me getting in there and being thankful that, it feels so plush and so good and so warm and all that good stuff. And so, yeah, I'm just thankful. I'm in a space of gratitude and thanksgiving. And that's a powerful place to be. So today, what is it that I came in here to talk to you about today? Like any other day, nothing. I mean, no, I don't mean it like that. Right? No, scratch that, rewind, scratch that, right? So you know that Stephanie and I have been talking about this book, that It Didn't Start With You. And there is, for me, this concerted effort for people to see things in context, to see, what's in a story, what's in your life story, and that there is meaning to everything that we do, right? And when we realize that everything that we do is either calling forth something or rejecting something, everything we do is important. When we get to that standpoint of view, it's more like being conscious in every aspect of our life. So, all of it matters. So I've been on doing this A Course in Miracles. I am working through the workbook again, and the workbook is really fascinating, because one of the things that it does is it is a systematic way of retraining our minds to see things differently. And so when we first started out, the year, every time we go through this, part of the exercises are to look around in your environment and recognize that, all the stuff that we see, we give meaning to. Like, this stuff doesn't really mean anything, is how it starts out. And then it is a reordering of our thinking, that we bring meaning to things, that it doesn't have meaning in and of itself, but we bring meaning to it. And because we've had some experiences with it, we don't see things in the present, but we see them based on our past interactions with it. So even in relationships, whether it is people we date or people that we've married, names of people, shapes, body figures, whatever it is, everything that you encounter with somebody is based on a past experience that you've had. Smells trigger up nostalgic memories of something good or bad. Um, body shapes trigger memories of something good, bad, comforting. Um, if the way a person, calls your name or not, or holds your hand or not, or acknowledges you or not, all of these things bring up something for you. And so we don't necessarily see people as they are in the present. We are a lot of times triggered by something that is going on in the past. And so for A Course in Miracles, what it's doing is it's calling our minds up to say, how do I see things in the present, not based on the past, but as they are in this moment. And so if I am bringing my awareness to the moment, for so many people, that's a difficult thing to do, right? Because so many of us, even me, like even when as I hear a new song, it's on the backdrop of something that's old. It's a familiar beat or a familiar tune or a familiar cadence or some familiarity to it. And if it's something that I totally haven't felt like I was exposed to before, even that becomes relational to something that is before. So our relationships, the places that we live, all types of things are based upon something that has been triggered from out of our past. And it takes work to come into the present and sort of like disconnect ourselves from what we no longer want so that we can be new in the moment. So this is an exercise. Today, my lesson was, I am, let's see, what does it say? I see only the perishable. So right there, it stands up an idea that nothing that I see, nothing that I'm looking at lasts forever. We learned in science that matter is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form. So we kind of get a grip on that. But what we also know is that everything is at a stage of either becoming or of, it's always in a stage of becoming something else. So that means that even in its becoming, it's coming into form, it is also on its way out. So there is nothing that is permanent that we see here on this earth. The houses that stand, they may stand for 100 years. The pyramids may have been standing for 3,000 years, but those too erode over time. Everything is perishable. So A Course in Miracles, when it starts out, it talks about this idea that the way that the book starts out is with this wonderful introduction. And the introduction, I always say it over and over again because I love it so much. I don't know if you do, if you've ever heard it or not, but this is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposites. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Now, when I first read that, I could tell you it so many times, just in that one paragraph, I had to go, I had to stop and really get a grip on what it was that I was reading. Like, how is this a required course? I know I've said that 100 times. How is this a required course? You know, what does this look like as a required course? Because there will be people who will never come upon this book, right? People who will never encounter this work. And so when but as I came to it and I started to study it, I started to study it from the perspective of, oh, this course is a required course because this is a course that we are on anyway, whether we know it or not. It doesn't take a book to embark upon this course. What the material that we're learning through this is the material that life teaches us. So if we think of our lives as going through something, right? Of having a purpose. The purpose is for our own maturation, our spiritual growth, our soul's growth. And so as we go through it, we grow through it. And so those are the steps that we are taking. The steps are in the Course in Miracles. And so when I encountered that, I got to that line, that end of the thing that says, this course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And so more and more as I live life, what I understand is that there is a temporariness, a temporalness to everything that we see, everything that is matter. There is a temporal. It exists in time, which means that in time, all of it will be gone. So those are the things that are unreal. And so, but what is true about you is your spirit self, the things that you cannot see, the things that don't appear. In the Bible, it says that everything appears comes from that which does not. So it has its origin in a space that is not present. It is like a different, I don't want to call it a dimension, because it could just all be this, you know, we could exist on multiple dimensions, but then it can all be just thought of as the one that we are conscious of now. And so the one that we are conscious of now is a plane onto which everything else comes through. So even the God in you comes through into the moment. So I love going through this and really doing the mental work, that the mental gymnastics that allows me to see things differently. And you know, for all of us, we can choose to see things differently if we desire. But most of us really want to stay stuck in our habitual way of thinking. And so this, you know, doing this course, you don't have to start it on January 1st, but it's nice because when I'm on January 21st, I'm on the 21st lesson, and on the 22nd, I'm on the 22nd lesson. It's got 365 lessons. And so it's easier to start off at the beginning of the year, but you don't have to. You can start it off at any time. And so then as you go through the lessons, it is like this systematic way of them retraining your thinking. So if I am on here saying, I see only the perishable, I see nothing that will last, I get to look at everything and know that the breakdown is occurring all the time. And so when it gets to this particular lesson, you know, I'm just going through my day and basically repeating the lesson that I am to learn. So in these things, it says, like, say it, you know, think about it or bring it to mind, to consciousness 3 or 4 times a day. Don't spend more than a minute on it, but bring it back into your conscious every time you are tempted to think something else. And so what I see is not real. Even the people that I see somebody else. I see you, right? Or I see another person. And there is this thing of like, oh yeah, I can see them, I can smell them, I can touch them, all of that stuff. And to our senses, we are saying to ourselves that they are real. But let me say this for you, because I didn't mean to come in here and talk to you about this today. I didn't mean to talk to you about anything today, really. But what I do know is that, um, is, in this book, one of the things that it says is that all minds are connected. All of us are connected. We all come from one source, one source. So if, whether, whatever it is, we are all connected. And so if that's the case, the way that I look at people is that I'm always meeting some aspect of myself. And that aspect of myself is bringing something to me that I need to see, learn, know, whatever it is that you are modeling for me, or somebody is modeling for me something, right? And so if I stay in that awareness every time I encounter some new person, I think to myself, I can look at it differently, right? I can think, "Ooh, what is it about me or in me that needed to call this person into being?" And so when you do that, in fact, you can see the gifts that another person brings. What you've learned from them, what they've taught you, whether it is the purity of spirit or whatever it is, you can look at everything as not as accidents, but as people who come in the moment and they're there on purpose, right? When you encounter, whether you're encountering me or another person, it's not by accident. They show up because they are supposed to show up. It's almost as if you, back when you were born, you made an arrangement with this person and you said, "Oh, on January 22nd, 2022, I'm going to need you to remind me of this truth that I am, or I'm going to need for you to show up in my life to tell me that it's all going to be okay." It's as if whatever it is, but people don't just meet by accident. These encounters, as A Course in Miracles says, it's a holy encounter, right? And if we take it as such, then we allow ourselves not only to see into the moment, but to really be aware that I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to get something here. I love it, love it, love it when we have the opportunity to squeeze out of something the good that is there, inherently there. So it is beautiful. I have friends who get certain things from me, whether it is ways of being in themselves, right? Boldness, whether it is sexiness, whether it is insight, whether it is the audacity to challenge what has been before, whatever it may be, whether it is how to strike up a conversation, how to be curious and interested in anybody that you meet. It could be about how to, whether it is like doing what I do here, talking, or any number of things. I tend to think that what we do and what we get from one another sometimes is just permission to be, right? So I don't know what it is that another person sees, and I don't know what it is that another person needs. But what I know is that as long as I'm showing up and living out my truth and being true to who I am and what I do, then they will get what they are supposed to get, because they weren't sent in my direction by accident. So this encounter is something that is supposed to happen so that it ignites or enlivens or gives permission for something that is laying dormant or desiring to come into fruition in you. It could be something that is meant to pass from you. Because sometimes what we do is we see people and say, "Oh yeah, not that. I don't want that," right? And so we get to check ourselves where that is concerned. It's so amazing because sometimes and we gotta trust too, right? So I have been on this thing about telling people about that our bodies have an intelligence. It has an intelligence all its own, an intellect, right? And a lot of times we think all of our thinking, our thoughts, and all of this stuff is up here. And then we call our bodies flesh and make the flesh somehow evil, or make the flesh seem as if it doesn't know. But if we use it as it is meant to be used, when a situation is not right, our stomachs will warn us, or the back of our necks, or the hairs on our arm. We've got all kinds of natural warning systems that are built into us. We see it in animals all the time. I am, a human is an animal too. So we've got certain instincts that are built within us. And those instincts tell us when something is right or when something is not right. But if we're busy divorcing ourselves from it, we can't hear what it is saying to us. And so there is a part of us that has been taught over and over again that somehow your flesh is evil. No, it's not, right? What happened is that people have found a way to imprison you or keep you safe or whatever, or keep you where you are, locked into where you are, by telling you, don't listen to your body. Don't listen to this. Don't listen to that. Even y'all, I find this stuff fascinating, even if other people don't, right? One of the things that I have seen is, especially in the animal kingdom, there is this, the females get to choose who is, whose genes get passed on. What goes with them and what doesn't. And they fight out there for mating stuff, right? But yet and still, we don't even get a clue from that. It's just like, we think that whoever has the most money, or whoever's got the biggest, I don't know what it is, the choices. I know I've made some bad choices, and thankfully it didn't turn into something that that I couldn't pull back from. But we don't always make conscious choices based on what it is that's good for us. But if we paid attention to what our bodies said, as well as our minds, if we paid attention to, the smell, and whether or not that smell is something that is conducive, almost non-offensive. When a person's natural odor is offensive or grating to you, you should know that this is not the person for you. It is an animal instinct. And so when we are not able to listen to intuitively what our body is telling us as well, right? We've got to learn how to listen to that and use that as a way of knowing deeper. So I always say to people, not only do we have to learn our own selves, but we also have to teach our children how to listen to their instincts without trying to make it seem as though they are evil and they need to be suppressed. Because we need our kids to understand when they are feeling uneasy in a particular situation, when they're frightened, when something doesn't feel quite right. We need to encourage them to pay attention to their feelings. We also need to encourage people to how to deal with anger effectively, right? That anger is not just something that surfaces for no reason. It is there for a reason, and we need to see what that reason is, instead of always suppressing everything. We have been taught for too long how to suppress. And so rather than allowing ourselves to see all of this as working together for our good, we pick and choose, we nitpick things because somebody else has told us something different about it. So I think, so I say all of this to say is that when people encounter others, they encounter them for a reason. And there is something that needs to show up so that it either gives people permission or perspective on how it is that they are to be. We just can't dismiss things summarily without looking deep. And that's what it means to be conscious. We always talking about consciousness and being woke, but being conscious and being woke is not just looking at it and saying for those gotcha moments, like where we can just identify, right, what's wrong. Like we just want to point out what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. It's also what's right. It's also what is speaking in us at the moment. All of that is part of being conscious, consciously aware, consciousness, consciously aware of our bodies, consciously aware of our senses, consciously aware of our environments, consciously aware when there is something missing or something that we need to cultivate or do. All of this stuff is part of this thing, consciousness. And so when we don't get it, it's as if we are, just as it implies, unconscious. We are asleep at the wheel when we could be doing something different. So yeah, we can keep on scrolling, right? You can keep on. And that's cool. I get it because your attention is valuable. I think I started off talking about how valuable your attention is. Your attention is valuable. But what is it that you are putting your attention in? And is it lifting you? Is it doing something for you? And those are the decisions that we have to make. I can't decide those things for you. You decide them for yourself. And so in doing so, it all works out. It all works together for your good. You know what? So having said all of that, I am so grateful that I was able to come on here today and to do this piece. And it's all good. All good, all good, all good. So I think I'm going to get off of here. We come on Monday through Saturday, 7:30-ish to 8:30-ish. And we talk about, right now we're doing this book called It Didn't Start With You. And if you have not met my friend Stephanie, you probably won't know who I'm talking about, but this is the book that we do. And loving this exploration and all that is bringing up for me and for her and for all the people who are involved here. And sure enough, what we're doing is we're just trying to go deeper into who we are, this thing called consciousness. So with that, I am going to log off of here. I got some running around I want to do, and there's part of me that thinks that if I get out there now, it's 8:30. If I get out there now, I can get back time enough before the rest of the world starts moving, and that would be fabulous because I just got to do a grocery store run and a couple of runs, and then come back here. So I appreciate you at whatever point and whatever year you've picked this up. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully consciousness. Hopefully you've gotten something to be consciously conscious about, and I will talk to you. I'm on Sundays at 1. And then Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 8:30, I'm with Stephanie. And on Saturdays, I'm here by myself. So I bless you. I send you blessings and greetings. Much love to you. And I will see you when I see you.